Hello everyone and welcome to the table. So we have a brand new knife for you today. This one is coming to us from good old Oknife. And so if you're not familiar with Oknife as a brand, they are kind of a spin-off company of Olight, except instead of focusing on lights, they focus on, of course, knives. So we have the Oknife AION to show off today. So this is brand new for 2025. So let's check it out. So of course you can tell a folding pocket knife right here. Beautiful shape and design. They did really well here. And this knife is very, very Quaken-esque in its shape, and that is nice thin profile. But this is not a small knife by any means. So you can see it's definitely very hand-filling. So before we do anything else, let's check out the dimensions so you know what you're working with here. Because our blade length, this again is a full-size pocket knife. Our sharpened edge on this knife is coming in right at 3.5 inches. Overall length, about 8.25 inches long. So this is what I would call a full-size everyday carry knife. And it's going to suit that purpose really well because when it's folded up, look at how small and compact and thin it is. Very nice. And the design here is actually quite striking, quite catching, because of course the designer of this one right here, let's check out the blade. We'll see the name right there. This is designed by Ostap, and he is a prolific knife designer at this point. He's worked with now Oknife, but he has made designs for Bestech before. He's done designs with Real Steel before. So even if you've never heard of his name, you've probably seen some of his knives around, and I'm actually proud to own quite a few of them, so they're actually really well done. So when I saw that he was attached to Oknife, that was enough to get me excited. That was pretty cool. But again, overall shape, beautiful thin profile design. We can check out this very nice drop point blade. Text on the blade right here. Of course, we have the name of the knife, AION, and we'll see this is a Nitro V steel. So going with Nitro V, it's one of those nice new budget alternative steels, slightly towards the higher end, but it's something a little more resilient than your standard D2. You know, going to be easier to sharpen, easier to touch up, but still a nice budget steel option for this knife. So that's Nitro V. And you're going to see it says OAL on the blade. And so OAL is referring to the handles here because these are O aluminum. That's what they call it, OAL. And so this is a hard aluminum material. It's kind of like think of like a 7075 aluminum. Think of the kind of aluminum they would use to make like an AR-15 lower, for instance. Something very resilient, very tough that's going to hold up really well. And so Oknife uses this for their knives just to give you that extra bit of durability, because of course if you carry around an aluminum pocket knife for any length of time, it's going to get dinged up on the edges, it's going to show wear and tear. And not to say that this knife is immune to it, but it's going to show the wear and tear a lot better, especially like along the edges where the coating is. Because we can see this is kind of like an olive green coating. Looks almost golden. You know, in person it looks almost gold, but it's kind of like a deep olive green color. That plus the blade with this black DLC coating, overall very striking, super striking appearance here. So they did a really good job designing the knife. Even when you look like at the back here, take a look at the space here between the handles. It's like deliberately thin, very, very catchy, very nice to look at. You know, because a lot of knives are those integrals now where it's one piece, and they didn't go with that, but they gave us this very thin piece here so you can still get in there, blow out the knife, clean it out really easily, but it's very slick looking when you're carrying it in hand. And I think that's kind of a nice touch. The blade itself does have some jimping up here on the spine while we're looking in this area, and the jimping is pretty effective. We can feel it right in this area right here. So beautiful drop point blade, nice aluminum handles of that OAL, so super durable aluminum handles. And we do have a deep carry pocket clip option. Very simple design, and I like it that way. It's just a one-piece reversible pocket clip, so you can flip it side to side. It's going to be tip-up carry, so they got it just right. Just right. And we just have the Oknife name on the pocket clip, so nothing fancy. It's not going to stick out too bad, and I'll be honest, when this is actually in your pocket, you barely notice it's there because it's so low profile. So they did really good on that. But you might notice something else about this handle, or maybe something that's missing. So take a look at this handle. What is not here? And you might have already noticed it because it's a very clean looking design. There is no exposed pivot on this knife. So that's actually really cool. And so what we have here are these two aluminum slabs, and they're held on by 4 screws on, on the corners, and those take a T6 Torx bit to open up, but the pivot's not going to be exposed, it's going to be underneath there. So you get kind of this really clean, neat look to the knife. It's a liner lock design, so check out the lockup right there. No issues at all. Rock solid deployment, and the snappiness of the action is exceptional. No issues with opening or closing this knife. Very nice action. You see it almost caught me there. Of course, it runs on those bearings, ceramic bearings. So very nice and smooth, depending on how you use it. Really, really nice inside. So taking a look in the handle material there, it's very hard to catch on camera, but you will see those steel liners inside are definitely skeletonized. So there is some weight reduction. Despite being a full-size knife, it's not overly heavyweight, which usually aluminum and steel knives tend to be a bit heavier than average. So weight on this knife is coming in 3.35 ounces. So that's right about 95 grams or so. So 95 grams, 3.3 ounces. So either way, it's not going to be super heavyweight, despite being a nice full-size pocket knife. So that's all real positive things to say. Our flipper tab right here has some nice jimping on it. So like I was saying with that action, no issues getting a positive deployment every time. I don't know if I can make it fail. Yeah, let me try to make it fail. Nope. It's kind of, all right, this time. All right, there we go. If you just, the lightest pressure breaks the detent, opens the knife blade very well. So I think it's really, really well made. And of course the designer, knockout designer that they got here for this knife. And so this one's going to be coming out pretty soon. I believe this is actually going to be a Kickstarter, believe it or not. And so on the Kickstarter, I think the price was going to be around 80 bucks, maybe a little less than that for this knife. And they had some upgrades if you wanted titanium, if you wanted Damascus, if you wanted to get a premium version of this same knife. By all means, go for it. I don't think you're going to regret it, because it's just a very high build quality here. And I think this one's going to be a knockout in design, because it has a lot of attractive qualities to it, from the size and shape to the thinness of the design, all really well thought through. But let's make some size comparisons before we're done, because I have a few other knives this kind of reminded me of when I first saw it. So putting this one down just for a second, we have a CRKT. This is the CEO. So this is also very thin profile and design. So you might be familiar with the CEO. It's a pretty popular knife from CRKT. So putting them side by side, just to give you a side by side, the CEO is smaller. And actually, I have one of another design by Ostapel. This one comes from Real Steel. This is the Metamorph. So this is their Metamorph Compact, but you can kind of see the family resemblance, right? So it's kind of a similar blade shape there. Pocket clip is also kind of reminiscent of each other. Also a liner lock design. So kind of holding those up side by side, you can get kind of a closer look there. Check them out. And this is the compact, so I'm sure they make larger ones too, but checking out that pocket clip. Again, very similar. So I thought they'd make decent size comparisons at least. But yeah, that being said, a lot of cool stuff that this knife offers. In the box, they also offered some spare hardware, I believe. So let's check it out. So yeah, we got a little pack of extra screws. So if one of those screws on disassembly ever gets lost, or if they get stripped out, you can fix that right here yourself without having to send it, back to Oknife, back to the factory, so to speak. So I think that's always a great value, having extra hardware on hand in the box. And so that is what it came with. But if you have any other questions or comments about the AION here, please drop one below. I'm excited about this one. I'm really glad that Oknife decided to send this one over. I'm actually really happy about that. That's pretty cool to share this with you guys a little bit in advance. So tell me your thoughts on the AION. I would have bought this one anyway, so I'm really glad they sent it out, but I really am glad to be able to share my thoughts and opinions with you in advance, and I hope you all have a nice day. See you later.